looking at Shang-Chi, the movie that feels like a trailer compilation video of movies coming out soon, except all the movies have the same actors, and they're from every genre of film. Oh, and you will forget at times that this is a Marvel movie. But it doesn't matter, because it's a cool adventure if you don't really consider that it's Marvel. Once upon a time, there was this guy that had these 10 rings. He used the rings for evil, not for good, just to seek out more power. He commanded armies, and everyone was afraid of him. No one could defeat him and his 10 rings. He lives a long time, and I'm going to assume that the rings are the things that give him eternal power or something. In the future, he built his very own compound, but he still wanted more power, and he heard of a fantastical place. Since he was alive long enough with all his armies to basically conquer everywhere on Earth, this is the one place that he hasn't conquered. So he's like, you know what? I gotta break that in. He sets out to find it. He locates the place. The thing about this place is it's kind of like a booby-trapped area where this forest has a maze in it that's always moving. Unfortunately, the forest closes in and the poor men go bye-bye. He doesn't even use his rings to save them. After he's like deuces, he goes into the forest. It looks like sugarcane, but I think it's bamboo. And he sees a beautiful woman just standing there as if waiting for him. Old dude is like, look, I'm looking for the village of Ta Lo, or the entrance to it. And she's like, you can't come to her village, hinting that her village is a Ta Lo village. And he's like, bitch.
Who are you talking to right now?
Don't tell me what to do, woman. Then some crouching tiger, hidden dragon stuff happens, and she becomes an airbender, then he falls in love. To be honest, I love this sequence because you can actually see him falling for this woman after becoming frustrated and realizing that she has been the missing piece to his dissatisfaction all along. He needed someone to share his empire with. He was lonely. Living that long will do that to you, even though you cannot convince me this man, having lived over 1,000 years, has not had some kitten tail and cougar tail as well. Anyway, then she throws him in the water and he's like, damn girl, you're not the only one who's wet now. The person telling the story or narrating around this point is like, that is the first time I met your father. They had babies, he put away his 10 rings, and she gave up her powers. Which to me is pretty stupid because considering that the dad was a gangster and he must have a lot of enemies, wouldn't you want at least a failsafe in case, you know, people try to endanger your kids? But I understand, they just want to live as a normal, happy family. The mother is talking to Shang-Chi here. Look how cute he was with his long ass neck. She gave him a pendant, and we see adult Shang-Chi. He picks up a card from his nightstand with that same dragon that his mom gave him, except it's drawn on a card. And we see that the next part of the journey takes place in And honestly, I gotta say, the amount of freaking BMWs I am seeing in this movie makes you think that they're the only cars in existence in this universe. I mean, the product placement is so freaking vehement that it actually has the opposite effect and makes me not want to buy the product. Here we see that Shang-Chi is now called Sean, and his friend is called Katie. And she's played by that loudmouth girl who sounds like she swallowed a cat and it dug its claws into her pipes all the way down. The irony is the real person's name is Aquafina. A brand of purified bottled water, because that's what she sounds like she's in constant need of. This is coming from a fox girl who sounds like two mice having an hour-long session before they die. These two are best friends, and of course, Katie is a great driver. Product placement, that's gonna come in handy later, when she has to drive another product placement. They're talking with their friends, and they realize how boring their lives are, or how immature they are. Her friend and her husband, who's kind of like in the background, is all like, yeah, well, I grew up. These two aren't ready for that. Katie and Sean sing karaoke, because they're not ready for the adult life, clearly. The whole family, at least on her side, is like, when are you gonna get married, you two? Anyway, they take a bus, and they're just chilling out. And then some guy starts picking on Sean. He speaks to him in Mandarin, and Katie doesn't understand that. Please keep this in mind. She doesn't understand Mandarin. So anyway, there's a whole bunch of weirdness going on, and you know, this movie is a lot of things, but I gotta say, even though I enjoyed the movie, the writing's not like the best. The guy grabs him, of course, Katie's like, stop it! Katie's always the one who stuck up for him, and she's all like, stop, what are you doing? Does he look as though he can fight? If people are trying to rob you, I'm pretty sure they target you hoping that you can. So what kind of statement is that? Or what kind of question is that? That was just blatantly set up so that we could see that Sean can in fact fight. Bro!
Be gone!
So this whole fight ensues, and then this big guy with a sword arm comes up and tries to cut the bus in half. Katie takes over the bus because she's a great driver, but at no point did she figure out that it would probably be a good idea to hit the emergency brakes on buses. I'm assuming that emergency brakes up with buses, right?
Be gone, son!
I have seen you before. Where have I seen you before? Were you in you? I think he was in you. He's just taking video on whatever the hell that is. don't know who this hunk is, but I know he's a bad guy and we're supposed to like hope bad stuff happens to him. But I mean, like, after that fight is over, sorry, after that fight is over, Sean realizes that his pendant is missing. Poor Katie is so confused because she's like, wait a minute, you can fight? She has no idea who he is. Remember, she thought that he was just her nerdy friend who she had to protect from when they were younger. And now he's busting caps in people's asses on trains like he's in the freaking Matrix. And he has a sister? Nope. He's got some explaining to do. He's like, yeah, look, I got a sister. There's a lot of things we gotta talk about. I gotta take a plane and I gotta go help my sister. I don't got time for this.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Eh? Yes.
Look at it. And she's like, who are you talking to? We can talk about it on the plane because I'm coming with you. And he's like, God damn it. Can't I have one moment to myself to think without your voice scratching out my eardrums? He tells her the story of when he was younger, that's his sister, and how after his mom died, his dad trained him to fight. And eventually, he wanted him to become an assassin. His sister supposedly trained herself, and because she was a girl, she was not allowed to train with everybody else. But somehow, she trained herself like Arya Stark. Also, I don't know who the scorpion-looking Kamiso thing is. We never see the identity of this person, and I'm guessing it's in the Marvel comics or something. But that mask is so dope, and he's always wearing it, which makes me think that that's his face. Anyway, Sean goes on to saying that yes, his name is Shang-Chi, and he would do anything to please his dad. His dad gave him a knife and told him to go on his first mission to go assassinate someone. And then they're interrupted for some strange reason in the plane because, I don't know, the comedic timing in this movie is just so freaking awkward sometimes that I'm like, what is the point of even putting it there? Also, this Nickelodeon stewardess is one of the most annoying characters. She was so annoying, my brain quickly blacked her out after she got off the screen. So he continues the story and said, yeah, I didn't go through with it. I decided to change my life and left and never looked back. And then I came here and changed my name. And then she's like, you changed your name from Shang-Chi to Sean. No wonder it was easy to find you. Sean and Shang are completely different names. Just like Alice and Alex. Anyway, that was her attempt at being funny or breaking the ice because right about now, she's probably trying to rethink whether or not this was a good idea or not. And then she's like, you know what? I really want the dick off of this man. I have not gotten it yet, so I'm not letting him on my side with all that Chinese. Oh, kitties! So they make it finally to Macau. See, Shang had gone viral from that bus fight with those nasty pendant stealers.
世界来了，你的车技实在是太帅了。
Oh, my Chinese sucks.
You did hear her say that, right? She doesn't really speak Chinese. Maybe she can understand a little bit of it, but that's the extent of it. Her Chinese is probably the equivalent to my Korean. Then he says he speaks ABC. For those who don't know, by the way, ABC means American-born Chinese. Anyway, in English, the guy welcomes him to the Golden Daggers Club. So exciting. Then he's like, all right, your fight is almost up. And Shang-Chi's like, what? And he's like, you signed the contract, dude, in the elevator. And he's like, oh boy. Pretty sure it's somebody I'm supposed to know in the comics, but I don't. Why is he so wet?
That's what she said.
Anyway, all's good because the last fighter that was supposed to go up against him just fell out. So this guy has no idea who he's actually fighting. But seeing how this movie is so ridiculously predictable, I had a feeling it was gonna be his sister. And guess what? I was right. First thing she does after seeing her brother after she hasn't seen him for a very long time is beat his ass. How can she even say this is a fair fight? I mean, to everybody else it may look so, but we all know he was pulling his punches because he didn't want to beat his sister's freaking ass. I hate this stupid stuff, man. I swear to God. If he wanted to, he could have snapped her spine in half. But that is his little sister. And then she does the dirty and kicks him in his balls. Why would you do that? He's carrying your bloodline too, you know. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that she's very upset with him. And see right here, he could have killed her, but he didn't. She's one of the most unlikable characters in the story. He had told her a long time ago that he was gonna just be gone for 3 days. And she knew he was going out to go on that mission to do the killing bid that his dad told him to do to kill someone. And she said, please don't do it. And he's like, don't worry, I'll be back in a few days. And then he never came back. Now here they are, 10 years later? She basically sucker punches him or sucker kicks him and wins the fight. Because that is how you do it. That's integrity right there. For those of you who are not English speakers, that is sarcasm. Sister likes Katie though, of course she does. The one thing she says to Katie is, I like your pants. Okay. Notice she's also wearing the pendant around her neck. Shang tells her that, you know, they kind of stole my pendant that mom gave me. Then all hell breaks loose, the bad guys come in, and there's this whole scene from out of Rush Hour. And I'm like, why is it in all these Americanized, like, martial arts movies are people on these freaking platforms? There's always a high-rise fight. Always. It has been done to death so many times that when I see people hanging, I no longer feel like they're actually in danger. It's boring. We know damn well she's not gonna fall. And when she does fall, guess what? She's caught by his sister's hips. This is the best scene from Out of the Fight. I mean, the best fight from Out of the whatever. I have got to get that mask. You're over there stealing pendants. I want your face.
Can I have a pussy, please?
With all this colorful fighting, he's about to kill this guy because he remembered how this guy used to whip him to train harder. Right before he does kill him, with the same dagger his father gave him, or one of his daggers. Whatever, it's the same kind of... Okay, look. 10 Rings grabs his wrist, and it's his dad. His dad hugs his son and tells him, I knew that they wouldn't kill you. I told them that they couldn't even kill you if they tried. Both the sister and Shang are taken. Oh yeah, and Katie too, because she's like the freaking biggest third wheel in Marvel history. The father takes his kids back to the compound. He seems happy and in good spirits. The two girls are talking, but it's just nonsense about, oh my god, you're a girl, and you did all this by yourself. Oh, you're so badass. Oh my god, yay. But the biggest fish here is that the father says that their mother is still alive, and he can hear her voice.
You crazy bitch whore!
That's what everyone's thinking about their father, and Shang's look says it all.
She's leaving clues for us.
He takes... Sorry. It's just, when you're telling it without the context, it sounds hilarious. He takes the 2 green pendants, puts them in the dragon eyes, it lights up, and then it, like, comes all over the place. And then there's, like, water hanging in suspension and stuff. And it shows him a maze to this gate where they're holding his wife behind. The kids are not happy with this. He starts ordering his dad's army, saying that they're all crazy. And his dad, and basically kind of, like, throws him to the ground, and the sister jumps in, and they're like, no, we're gonna put you away. Here we can see the dad is not necessarily evil, but he actually legitimately feels like his wife is in danger, because we can hear him hearing her voice. They get locked away, but they're not really locked away because they hear somebody, well, they are locked away, but they hear somebody practicing lines, and it's that guy, what's his name again? The something another. The guy who is pretending to be a terrorist in Iron Man, it's him again. Then the funniest and probably only funny part in this movie happens when they get scared by something that crawls from out of behind the guy's wardrobe.
What the hell? Oh, what is that?
That part was kind of funny the same first time I saw it, yeah. Okay, now looking back into the acting kind of sucks, but you know, it was funny the first time because they're, you know, whatever, I'm weak. So he's surprised by this little thing that has no face or head, and he's like, you can see him too? I thought I was crazy, and apparently, like, he's the only one who can understand it, which is weird, because the magical creature from that forest that Shang-Chi's mother is from, but yet they can't understand it, but this guy can, whatever. Maybe the creature only has certain people understand it that it wants to understand it, which is like, why wouldn't, I don't understand, whatever. It's really cute though, in a disturbing kind of way. Like its back end is its front end, and there's no beginning end. Odd choice. I feel like these people, if this didn't come from the comics, didn't have any ideas, and they're like, what should it look like? I don't know. How about we just not give it a face and just draw like the body plan for the animal with the wings, and just, that's it. Just the body and the legs and wings, and we don't give it a face because we can't make it look real enough. It's just easier this way. And you know what? It works. So anyways, the sister's like, here's a tunnel. This is how I escaped the first time. They get a car, and of course, Dad sends his men after them. Oh, look at that product placement again. Knew that was gonna happen. Once again, Katie's driving a BMW. Anyway, they get to this place where the moving maze forest is. Through here, they can find the village of Talo, the village that Shang-Chi's mother hails from, and his sister's mother. I don't really care about her name because her character really doesn't seem like that important to me. The creature says it's time to go. The forest almost eats them up, but Katie's a special driver, and they land in some water, go through the waterfall, and it's like a journey through a Doctor Strange movie. Then through this portal, they make it to Talo. Why is the gate so freaking open? Like, this isn't closed back when they come through. What, isn't it kind of irresponsible to leave it like wide open just in case someone does manage to come through like they did? And apparently, like the father did too, because apparently that when they went to get married, she had gone back to the village and they said no, they didn't want them there. They didn't want him there because he was like a bad person and whatnot, and the wife decided to leave. But being that he's such a bad person and he now knows where this place is, wouldn't it have behooved them to, I don't know, seal the entrance since none of them are leaving anytime soon? Just weird. It's a very beautiful place that kind of looks reminiscent of the Hollow Earth from Godzilla vs. Kong. So pretty. This is the best part of the movie for me. Look at the kids in it. However, sure this is the Chinese equivalent, which is the Hulijing or something. Then we see horses when it stopped in front of them, and we can see that these creatures are clearly basically Chinese illustrations come to life, or the Chinese illustrations were of these creatures. Every single one of them looks like they have like human sheep elements on their faces, and they're all part dragon. I do love this horse's design, even though I don't think it's called a horse here. But it's so cool to see the animals in their natural habitat. By the way, the Hundun, this is what this creature is called, is named Morris. His family is happy to see him too. I don't know how they know that they're there. They must have some psychic elements, which also explains why he's able to talk to the theater person, but still doesn't explain how he's not able to talk to Shang-Chi and everybody else. Anyway, the sister and Shang-Chi get there with Katie behind them. Yes, hi, remember she's there? This guy's like, turn back. But then his aunt comes out. This woman is actually their mother's sister. She's so happy to see them because they're family, and the drama guy's there too. She tells them the story about this portal, this gate that the father wants to open. But this is bad news because if he opens this portal, then these dark things are going to come through. And there's a very big dark dweller that lives back there that will end their world. They used to have a very huge civilization, and they sent all their best warriors after their cities were felled to guard this place, which they're really doing a poor job at. Anyway, she says that if the father opens this portal, this big ass beast is going to come through. And that voice of the mother that he's been hearing, unfortunately, that is the creature playing tricks and telling those people what they want to hear so it can get them to open the gate. I also love these Chinese guarding lions. I don't know what they're really called. I know they're lions, but they guard things and they're so pretty. It's so awesome watching these things get brought to life. This was honestly the best part of the movie for me. Katie is taught to fight, and then the aunt gives her a spiel like, it's okay, you don't have to hide anymore. Men and women are equal now. Meanwhile, I'm thinking, bitch, you obviously haven't gotten out much because that has been the situation for a very long time. Katie hails from California. Trust me, I don't think she's worried about that. The sister and Shang-Chi put on clothes that the mother had left for them. The sister, don't know her name, is wearing the mother's dress. Seriously, the movie would have been great if she wasn't in it. Like, she literally doesn't make a difference. I don't really understand why she's there. I feel like she's just there for the sake of showing up her brother or something, because at times it seems like she's a better fighter, but story-wise, there's really no need for her to be there. I feel like it would have been better to just have Katie there. One woman who is very incapable and then becomes capable, which happens all in the space of like 3 minutes. There's no real character building here. It's Katie doesn't know how to fire an arrow, and now she's a perfect shot. We don't know how long they were here at this place, but I know it wasn't that long. Shang-Chi fights with his aunt and she's like, stop hiding yourself. Basically, she tries to encourage him in saying that take all your father's bad elements, your mother's good elements, and put them together, and you are the sum of all the parts of people that came before you, so you should just be greater than all of them.
Stop hiding, nephew. It only prolongs the pain.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
At night, after all their training, Shang-Chi sits down with Katie and tells her all of what happened. He said, I'm not who you think I am. When I said I didn't assassinate that guy and I didn't go through with it, I actually did. Then he gives the backstory, which is honestly one of the best parts of the movie. You see, his mom, just like his father, had put away all of her powers. But because her dad had been a gangster and he's been alive thousands of years and busted a lot of caps and a lot of asses and castrated a lot of people, he made a lot of enemies. Since he put down his 10 rings, now they've come after him, thinking he's gone soft. The mother's like, my children have nothing to do with this. And of course, like the gentlemen they are, these men say, fine, put your children away. They said somebody has to pay. She tells him to go, but Shang-Chi watches from the shadows. He also reminds his mother that she doesn't have her powers. So how is she gonna beat them up? With the power of love. Then she sees a whole bunch of other people coming in. Yeah, mom's dead. They bust her up. The father comes home, and I swear to God, I don't know if this has anything to do with the comics, but I swear to freaking God, dude, is this not the same story of Castlevania's Dracula on Netflix? Father used to be the most powerful person in the world, and he was so freaking evil. Then he meets this girl who's not afraid of him. Then they fall in love, and they have this guy. The father goes on a journey around the world. The mother is home, and a whole bunch of heretics end up burning her. He comes home and finds out that these guys killed his wife. Then he seeks vengeance, and then he becomes hardened and evil again, and his son has to end up trying to kill him. Bitch, it's the same freaking thing. And those of you who have watched Castlevania on Netflix, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the same same damn story. Like, there's no difference. Except that they're Chinese and the other people are animated people. The father is just completely driven by grief, and he wants to be with his wife. He takes out back his 10 rings, and exactly what I said happens. It is so satisfying when he goes to the place and has his son point out the people, and the son is like, yep, that's all them. It'd be funny if it wasn't, and the kid just like didn't remember and chose some random ass people. And then the father busts all of them up and John Wicks their asses. Seriously, what were they freaking thinking? He's like, who's your boss? He kills that guy anyway. He asks his son if you want to help me avenge your mother, and he's like, yeah. The reason why he trained his son to be an assassin is so they could avenge their mother. His wife and Shang-Chi's mother. The knife that he gave Shang-Chi when he was like 14, he gave that to him because he found the big boss that sent those guys to go kill Shang-Chi's mother and the 10 Rings guy's wife. He said, you know what? You should do the honors of taking down the boss since they took your mom. He was driven by grief and vengeance, and under that, you know, you can't blame the guy. Even though you think about it, this guy probably killed a whole bunch of their families and wives too, so. That's when Shang-Chi set off, but he says he actually did kill the guy, and his mother would not like who he became. Katie's like, your dad is evil. You know, he trained you to be an assassin. That's kind of messed up. And then after all of that, after Shang-Chi knew that, and by the way, he was like reliving that in his head. After he knows that, his one thing is like, I have to kill my dad. Even though he knows his dad is being victimized right now, and yes, he wants to burn this whole village to the ground because he thinks, based on what his wife's voice is telling him, that they are keeping her in a prison, and they are the evil people. But he's like, I'm gonna do what he trained me to do, which is like horrible freaking writing. Anyway, the dad gets there. A whole fight breaks out, and Shang-Chi's good, but he's no match for his dad, at least not at the moment. Except he does get the advantage on him when he lets his dad know that he abandoned his family and we really needed you. And his dad was kind of listening at this point, and then he says something completely stupid. Like, you don't kick someone when they're down like this.
Even if you could bring her back, what makes you think she'd want anything to do with you?
You done fucked up now!
Boom! I think he knows his son is alive, but at this point he does not care. He's like, I want my wife. She's the only woman that will live as long as I do and keep that premium puss. He goes to the gate covered in dragon scales and unleashes these octopus monster dragon things. This is terrifying because the people of the village realize these things are very dangerous, and they tell the 10 Rings dude that, you know, his men, we gotta work together. I know your boss says that you're supposed to be fighting us, but we are all gonna die if we don't work together. So let's put our sticks down and, you know, and then point them up in the air, because those things that are coming at us right now, they're gonna kill us off. And he's like, I don't want to work with you. I don't listen to you, man. Then he literally sees this thing being hurt and not being hurt, and it eats people's souls. This is the part that is freaking terrifying. This guy is literally slicing these things up, and they are coming back together as fast as he is cutting them. Look at this. Like, this is instant regeneration. What the hell kind of face is this? The thing looks so upset. It's like, excuse me, I'm just doing my job, sir. You want to be a Karen? Speak to the manager behind the gate. One of the villagers uses their boomsticks because, you know, normal earth weapons don't work, even though nobody here has a gun, because I guess they're going to figure it's too American or something, so everyone has to use crossbows and energy swords, which are just as inefficient, because, you know, you got to be close up or at least somewhat in range to hit those things. But whatever. I don't understand why in this movie, in Black Panther, everyone is beyond technologically advanced, but they still use crossbows and stuff against freaking magical creatures. But I guess they're enchanted, so I guess that counts. The monster upside down Cthulhu things take all the souls. Back behind the gate, as the father is punching the gate, he's releasing more of them, causing the villagers to have to fight. And they drop these souls back behind the gate to something else that they're feeding that's bigger. Zhang is being spoken to by his mother in his heart. Then air goes in his nose and he's revived. Then a glorious Chinese dragon meets him face to face. Then he does the Avatar thing and blasts out the water riding on the dragon. I don't have a problem with this scene because I absolutely love dragons. They're my favorite creature. So just the fact that there are dragons in this is making my paws bleed wonderful wet blue. The dragon's like, yes, I've been waiting for someone to ride my neck. Put that crotch on my neck, daddy. I'm kidding. I had to make it horrible. I'm sorry, the dragon's so wet. What? Turns out that the dragon scales hitting these things kills them. So does the lion's teeth. Like, only magical creatures can help kill these things. Shang-Chi goes face to face with his father. He tries to tell him, look, Dad, Mom's not alive. I wish that were true and she was really back there, but she's not. The dad is so stricken by grief and also hope that his wife is alive. that he's not willing to listen. You could totally understand how he feels. And you actually feel sad for him because he misses his wife. Even though he bit back and blamed Shang-Chi for not being able to help his mom, he knows there's nothing the kid could have done. And when people are grieving, they say hurtful things. When in fact, he probably really blames himself for not having been there. If there's a chance to free her and save her, for her to be alive, for him to be with her again, he's gonna take it. And just like Castlevania, when Alucard has to fight against Dracula, this is exactly what's happening here. Ow, I don't know what's happening here. Ow. Like, okay, so the sister is in the background and she helps the dragon's eye become undone so the things are not biting. What is her purpose in this? She seems like a background character that they just put in there to fill the time so the movie's longer. And she's so unlikable and there's no depth to her at all. By the way, if you're wondering what happened to Drama Guy, he's acting like he's dead. Mars follows suit. And honestly, if you can't fight, that is the smartest thing you could do. Unless those animal things can smell your soul inside your body regardless of whether or not you're acting. Shang-Chi is able to steal some of his dad's rings. He does all the same moves his mom does. And when he has a chance to kill his father, he chooses to not. He drops the rings at his father's feet. Then a creature from out of Monster Hunter comes out, and it's like, yay, I'm free. Breath stinking. The father saves his son. You know he had enough time. He just stands there, looking at his son. He could have moved away. I think he wanted to die, and I knew that was going to happen too, because that shit always happens. It's so freaking annoying. Goodbye, son. I shall give you the rings. I remember when I saw you as a baby. Basically, his son's life flashes before his eyes. He bequeaths his rings to Shang-Chi, and the dragon eats his dad's soul. He hops back on the dragon that his sister is riding, and we get a cool dragon fight that you have to see to believe. Freaking amazing. Love this dragon. Unfortunately, the bad ender dragon looking thing wants to eat the Chinese dragon. It's trying to suck out its soul. The people in the village said that if that thing eats our dragon, it's gonna be really strong. It's so sad because you're basically watching the dragon get violated.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! What are you doing?
But remember how Katie was just learning how to shoot an arrow and she's like a perfect Hunger Games archer, if you will? Well, she, from a very long distance, aims for the thing's throat because that's where they want to aim for the throat to stop it from soul sucking. And she does that and she saves the dragon. Dragon's like, oh shit, I almost died, let me leave. Then they use the dragon to use its water. And then Shang-Chi goes on its thing and then uses the rings to go to its throat. Then he does one of those moves like we're watching a freaking finale in an anime fight. Ha! And then the dragon explodes. And that's all it took to take care of it. I mean, you have so many freaking magical people there that are like leagues better in fighting stance than he was. And that entire time, nobody, not even, okay. Really? Nobody could defeat that thing? Nobody. He comes and he defeats it single-handedly because he has the 10 rings? Jesus Christ. We know this is going to tie into the Eternals at some point. Anyway, then they get down off the dragon and a lot of people were lost, so it's not all good. Then they have a funeral for all their fallen ones, including his father. Then they're back in the bar in the present time, and now they're telling the story to their friends who don't believe them. Jarring as hell freaking ending. Then on cue, as if to prove them right because their friends don't believe them, Katie and Shang-Chi see Wong from Doctor Strange opening a portal. He's like, yo, you're Shang-Chi. You still have those rings? Come with me. And all the people in the restaurant are just staring. That part was kind of funny. He tells them to come with him and they go into the portal. He wants to catch him up on everything. I love the look of the people in the restaurant. It's freaking amazing. And then the post-credit shows him there talking with Bruce Banner, trying to figure out what these are because they don't recognize them or what they're made from. Don't know why she's one of the people that's there. Maybe because she's an alien or something, but you know, I feel like she was kind of shoehorned in for some reason. I could be wrong. And then they don't finish their conversation. And for some reason, Katie is called to be there too because she's totally useful because she slid an arrow through the dragon's throat. Something that didn't require powers to do. But maybe because she's his girlfriend or friend, zone friend or whatever, and she's loud enough to make herself memorable or like, oh, okay, you come too, just because. Maybe he did it as a smart move and Wong invited her, thinking that the two were together and that he wouldn't want to leave Katie behind because it would be seen as rude to take the guy and leave the girl. So she probably just took her. But like, if you're people who are trying to protect citizens, why would you just drag her along in a dangerous situation? Or maybe because it's not dangerous and they're trying to figure out where these things are coming from. Anyway, he lets them know that they're gonna have a lot of stuff to take in. It's also possible because she's seeing these things up close and personal that, you know, there's not a lot of people who know about these things and they can't flash you thing or like they did in Men in Black. So they take her along so there's no liability. Even though because she has no power, she's a huge liability. We already have someone who can shoot an arrow. It's called Hawkeye. Then the movie ends. Whew! What a fun ride. What a weird ride. What a freaking kaleidoscope of a movie. Like seriously, this movie was fun, but holy crap, it did not know what it wanted to be. It was all over the place. I felt like I just came back from watching pieces of a fantasy, a rom-com, an action thriller, a gangster movie, a martial arts movie, and drama all in one. The writing could have been better, and Shang-Chi's character could have been better too. I feel like this was not the perfect cast for the person. I don't know why, just something very forgettable about this guy. And aside from the sequences about the mystical creatures and stuff, if you asked me about this movie several weeks from now, I could not tell you what the hell happened. I think the only way I'd be able to remember it is because I drew a likeness from Castlevania with Dracula and Alucard, and I'm like, oh yeah, a father who fell in love with this woman, and you know, he was most powerful, and then they had a son, and the son tried to kill him. That's the only way I'd be able to remember it. Other than that, not the most memorable or likable character. It's not like he's unlikable, he's just not anything. I don't care. You know who I did care about in this movie, though? The father, Tony Leung. I know the actor's name. I have to look that up. Hold on. Zhu Wenwu. The movie was kind of forgettable, but who knows? It ties into the new MCU, sorry. Go buy or rent it from Disney or YouTube and watch it in all its chaotic glory. Thanks so much for watching. This has been Ultiori. You ask, we answer.
Get the fuck up off me!